Hey everyone, this is Fabriello and welcome to the third and final part of Fighting Games Memories. Today we'll continue and finish with the PlayStation 1 era and move on to the following generation of video games. And I would like to focus my attention especially on one game for this episode, which is Darkstalkers 3. On the last episode I focused on Street Fighter Alpha 3, and at the end of it, I say that I'm going to talk about my favorite, that which is technically Darkstalkers 3. Why technically? Darkstalkers 3 is the fighting game that I enjoy the most on my own, while Street Fighter Alpha 3 is the game that I enjoy the most with my friends. That is a big difference. So actually, I want to reformulate the statement, saying that Street Fighter 3 and Darkstalkers 3 are my personal favorite fighting games, and I cannot really choose one over the other because they're both awesome. So Darkstalkers 3, the third and so far the final new game in the Darkstalkers series, was released in 1997 in the Japanese arcade, moved on the Sega Saturn and PlayStation 1 in 1998 in Japan and North America only, and finally in 1999 we had the version in Europe. So this was actually the first time that we European gamers could actually enjoy the Darkstalkers franchise by Capcom. And I was following the progresses on this game for quite a while now, thanks to magazines, because as I've been telling over the last episode, at the time I read a lot of video game magazines. So I was really curious about this game. The main reason, and it's also the main reason why I love this game so much, it is because it's a horror-themed video game. It's not a horror game, but it's in the zone. We have vampires and all other kind of creatures, a Frankenstein monster, succubi. I mean, it's great setting with great characters. This is the thing. These are the things that really um, brought me over the Darkstalkers franchise. That I always consider most of like a cult series over others made by Capcom. It is famous, but it's not as famous, for example, as Street Fighter, and it's the reason why there aren't so many games. So when I finally managed to buy Darkstalkers 3, I was very excited, and I have to say the game surpassed my most cheerful expectations for a fighting game. Technically speaking, like the graphics, the fighting mechanism, it's all I found it very similar to Street Fighter Alpha 3, so it was very familiar. And I like that in video games. I like familiar sensations, like, for example, in Dragon Quest, just to mention one. Um, so I very enjoyed that. I mean, the graphics, it's gorgeous, just like Street Fighter Alpha games. Great music, of course, and especially great characters. I absolutely love the characters in Darkstalkers. It's one of the things it's most famous for. Obviously, we have Morrigan, probably the most famous one, together with Felicia. But we have other great characters like Isenko, the Chinese zombie, who is my actual favorite character. What about Donovan, Jeda, probably the coolest vampire I ever seen, and all the others. I mean, Darkstalkers are amazing characters, and I think it's very sad that it's been forgotten like this by Capcom, because we had over the years many some sort of remakes or compilations mainly, but never since 1997 a new Darkstalkers game that I think that we should really have it. So I enjoyed this game a lot by myself, and but it's not fair to say that I didn't enjoy it with my friends. My friends liked it. I mean, I was the one who owned the game. For a change, it was not my other friends, and usually they came to my house and we play a lot of it. But after a while, like a couple of hours or something, that we were playing it, and we were almost at the same level. I was a little better than them since I owned the game, but it wasn't as amazing as it was in other games. For at the beginning, after a while that I mastered the game, I was amazing at it. I mean, this is probably the fighting game that I was the best. I mean, even more than Killer Instinct, even more than Street Fighter, I was unbelievably good at Darkstalkers 3. After a while, I mean, at first, I have to try all the characters. find my own like rhythm with them, and after a while, especially with the Senko, I train a lot with the PC, with the CPU, and with other friends, and I became unstoppable, mainly basically, and that was great to see my friends crying after I trashed them really easily, because I was good also with other characters, but with Isenko I was simply unstoppable. So it takes me a while. It took me a while to get used to it, even though the mechanism was similar to Street Fighter, but I have to find the right characters, since I like them, almost every one of them. And the reason that my friends, after a while that we were playing and I trashed them and say, this is good, but can we play Street Fighter? I think the reason why they didn't enjoy Darkstalkers as much as I do is the fact that I am the horror guy. I like horror movies. Them, not so much. And that is the thing. Probably they enjoy Street Fighter more than Darkstalkers simply because it's more normal in a way. With Darkstalkers, there's all the horror theme in a. I've always thought like in a sort of comic way. I mean, it's a very heavily anime based also, and that's another thing that I absolutely love about it since I'm crazy about anime. Seeing Darkstalkers with all the horror thing, the anime influence, it was to me it was amazing. I wrote so many short stories and others about Darkstalkers and the characters. There is an anime that I already reviewed, and I highly recommend it, by the way. It's very good, but too short. That's the sum of it. And I had a huge fun playing Darkstalkers, mainly on my own, as I say. My friends were not entirely passionate about it as I was, but I played for years. After a while, I stopped playing it for playing new games and new with on new system, and I tried to play it again recently, and I'd say I was not as good as I was. I mean, I kind of sucked. I managed to finish again with Isenko, but I was absolutely terrible compared how incredibly good I was in high school. So gradually, during my high school years, the PlayStation era was coming to an end, while the new generation was being revealed and coming out progressively. Of course, I'm talking about the highly anticipated PlayStation 2, the new Nintendo GameCube, and the Xbox. Mm, Strangely enough, I have to say, I always say this, I choose the Xbox, and it sounds like I regret the choice. I kind of do in a way, but not entirely, because there are good games on the Xbox. But in terms of fighting games, even though they're not my favorite, so I'm not really complaining. The most memorable one I think was definitely Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Probably the best version is on the Dreamcast, but on the Xbox I had a lot of fun playing this game. But I think that the magic was kind of gone after the PlayStation 1 because the graphics was nice, was still kinda like Darkstalkers or Street Fighter Alpha or Guilty Gears, for example. That's another awesome game, by the way. But for Xbox standards, I expected so much more that I didn't enjoy it. And even though I like this kind of graphic, I mean, I love 2D fighting games, but on the Xbox, again, I expected so much more. Expected like the next generation, especially there you go, the siren, especially after I play Halo. That was mind blowing in terms of graphics. That is so annoying and distracting. After playing Halo, I expected so much by the Xbox, and seeing Marvel vs. Capcom 2, although it was very, very funny and enjoyable, uh, I kind of like didn't enjoy it as much as I wanted, I think. The fighting system, the gameplay is very funny. It's a 3 versus 3 fighting game, so nothing too original at the same time, even though it's funny. Think about it was not the first time we see that kind of games fighting system. We had it already in King of Fighters 94 on the Neo Geo by SNK. Then we have three team of three fighters against the other. So nothing really new, but it's still very fun. I have to say my favorite characters in the game. I mean, it was amazing seeing all those characters together with both Marvel and Capcom. My usual team was always with Rogue, Strider, and others that I choose. Usually it was Ken from Street Fighter, Jill Valentine, and others. Morrigan from Darkstalkers, of course, but mainly those two. Always Rogue and Strider. There are other fighting games on the Xbox, but I remember one that I played quite a lot, but not as much as Marvel's Capcom 2 was Tao Feng. The main thing was the graphics was more interesting, was more realistic. You can see all the damage on your body, like bruises, blood, and everything. That was cool. The voice acting of the game is horrible, horrible, horrible. But the story is ridiculous and very short. But playing with a friend as I did, it was kind of funny. But Marvel's Capcom 2 much better on the Xbox. I recommend that one particularly, even though the graphics is incredibly outdated for especially on the Xbox. It was on other systems, like from the PlayStation 2, probably wouldn't understand it a little more, but not on the Xbox. I don't know why. Probably at the time expected so much more, especially after other games that I saw. But not all the games on the Xbox have amazing graphics. Think of Knights of the Old Republic, and that is an awesome game. Moving on to the next generation, I go back to the big N. I go back to Nintendo and bought the Wii. And I absolutely love that system. And on that console, I found one of the most fun and enjoyable fighting games that I ever played. And that is, of course, Super Smash Bros. That was, I mean, I had so much fun. It's one of the games that I played the most on the Wii. And it is very funny both on your own and with friends, of course. On your own, playing the single player campaign is very, very funny. I love that. It is very nice. The game changed, becoming like a sort of side scroll adventure, but with all these Nintendo characters. That was brilliant. With friends, of course, all the tournament possibilities is so much fun. I mean, that is one of the, I think, best games on the Wii, and probably one of the most fun to play with friends. But even on your own, it is a great and great enjoyable game. So there you have it. These are my fighting game memories. I cover mainly the console that I owned at the time that I bought one after the other. Now I own other consoles like the PlayStation 2, the Dreamcasts, and others. But at the time when I was growing up, so I have the most memories, especially because like I was going to school. Most of my friends are still in Italy, so now that I live in the UK, I have new friends and they have different tastes. And especially, I don't have almost all my games with me now, as you know. So my situation has changed a lot. And so I want to share mainly my memories of my golden age of video games that was during high school, so between the Super Nintendo and the PlayStation eras. And those are clearly the years that I enjoy the most, even though I still love video games, of course. But as fighting game goes, to me, probably the best memories are from that period. I enjoy the new generation of video games. I will keep enjoying them, of course, but there was some sort of magic on during those years, and playing back then and playing again games like Killer Instinct, Street Fighter Alpha 3, Darkstalkers 3. When I played them again recently, there was so much nostalgia, and even though I wasn't as good as I was back then, and I played just for like an hour or something, I was like submerged by nostalgia playing that. I remember this, everything about this, and all the memories of playing with my friends or by myself after school or in the middle of the night. It all coming back, and it was so nostalgic. So there you have it. I hope you guys enjoyed these 3 episodes. Um, I think this was my only chance mainly to talk about fighting games, since I don't really love the genre, but as I um, I said, some of these games I really really like them, and I had great memories playing them. So probably this will I don't know where I'm gonna talk about them, and I really wanted to mention them at least for now before I don't know, maybe make reviews about them. So leave comments, video responses, focus on your fighting game memories. Share it so you can discuss games that you love, fighting games that you don't like. That will be an interesting episode. That since I have a lot of games that I don't like in terms of fighting games that I saw or played. So hope you guys enjoyed these videos. Thanks for watching and take care.